It's time to put the good in your morning. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Today, Sydney firefighters rescue a kitten from a wall.
A gorgeous Veterans Day start, but it's a cold one as well. We'll have the latest on freeze warnings from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we're here at Pitt State University, where we are hanging out at the Veterans Memorial to honor our veterans this morning for Veterans Day. You're watching the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It starts right now.
Thanks for joining us on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. I'm Tanya Bach. Kansas reports another record 7-day spike as COVID-19 cases continue to rise throughout the state. The state health department on Monday added 5,920 new confirmed and probable cases. The state averaged 2,047 new cases per day for the 7 days ending yesterday. That brings the state's total to 103,553 since the pandemic began. Governor Laura Kelly's staff, legislative leaders, and local officials launched discussions about encouraging mask use before last week's elections. And there's still resistance to mask mandates from many local officials and the state legislature. Kansas is not the only place seeing an increase in numbers as cases continue to rise all throughout the 4 states. Jasper County reports 355 active COVID-19 cases. Joplin reports 293. In Crawford County, health officials report 209 active cases, 104 in Cherokee County, and in Ottawa County, Oklahoma, there are 136 active cases. The COVID Tracking Project says Missouri has seen a 12.9% increase in COVID cases in the past week, with Joplin seeing 548 new cases in the last 14 days alone. Joplin Health Department officials say as cases continue to climb, they're finding it harder to contact trace and to quickly notify contacts. They're trying to reduce a backlog of cases. The Jasper County Health Department reports 2 more COVID-19 deaths. The patients were both men. One was in his 70s, the other in his 80s. The 2 deaths bring the county's total to 64. The city of Joplin's also reporting 2 more COVID-19 deaths, bringing the city's total to 42. The patients were both men, 80 and 97 years old. Joplin School District begins spring enrollment for virtual and in-person classes. Parents will be able to go online and register for either option for the spring semester, which starts in January. Officials say students who are enrolled in virtual classes now and wanting to remain virtual will need to re-enroll for that option. According to the district, 300 of the 1,400 students enrolled for virtual learning now have re-enrolled for next spring.
So really, we have to wait and see what those enrollment numbers do. If our virtual enrollment spikes, we're going to have to make sure we support that appropriately. If we have a lot of students who want to come back, we're going to have to make sure that we support the classroom appropriately too.
Mwangi says virtual learning is something the district will continue to offer even after COVID. We've placed a link to the enrollment form on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, USD 250 announces a new partnership with the city of Pittsburgh to provide a private 4G LTE network to families in need. The network, called DragonNet, will give internet access for education purposes to around 500 students at no cost. The district is receiving more than $1 million in state grants to set up antennas throughout Pittsburgh for the network. Officials expect DragonNet to be up and running by the end of the year. A tiny kitten who found itself in a bit of a pickle when it became trapped inside the wall cavity of a Western Sydney, Australia home is rescued. Fire and rescue crews were called to a Bankstown home over the weekend after the owners heard the kitten meowing, but they couldn't find it. Firefighters used thermal imaging camera to help locate the kitten before cutting through the sheetrock, making a hole small enough for their furry friend to move through.
Oh, do they have any idea how it got there?
I don't know.
That's tremendous. It'd also worry me if I was the homeowner. What else is lurking behind my walls?
I know. I know at one point we had a squirrel or something in the walls. It just needed to get out.
That's what you heard, yeah.
You heard it, you
that's-
heard it,
that's
you heard it,
scratching.
and then all of a sudden one day you didn't hear it again.
Oh, well, it got out safely. That's why.
That's what happened.
It got out the same way it got in, Tanya, and absolutely no worries. What a beautiful Veterans Day morning that we have. Take this time right off the top of the show to thank everybody who has served our country, true American heroes. And while the sun is eventually going to warm us up a little bit, it's going to take a little bit. That's why we've even got freeze warnings. The freeze warnings don't apply to Joplin, but still, we're 2 degrees below the freezing mark. You have to remind yourself exactly where the freeze warnings originate from, and that's why when we get there, you'll notice it's not all-encompassing, but I tell you what is all-encompassing, cold weather. Freeze warnings for northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas, but as we saw, everybody pretty much right at, if not below it. Clean Sky Watch Storm Tracker, though, just a gorgeous, gorgeous Midwest, even with the cold front that's moved through. On the bus stop forecast, just a matter of keeping them warm on the way to school. Hard pressed to even get to 40 degrees there by the time we get to the 9 o'clock hour. So I don't know what district policy is there on recess. Might be inside the gym with as cold as it's going to be throughout the morning. Hey, look at that. Front's already gotten down to southeast portion of Arkansas. Now, for our day planner, we're going to have about a 25, 30 degree bump up. Be able to make it up into the high 50s, even some low 60s on the board. Not going to be a windy day either. Just a little light breeze coming in from the northeast. And as future track will show us, good news here overnight into Thursday, as we'll be able to stay well above that freezing mark. And when we get into Thursday, even temperatures that are a little bit warmer. We'll be up into the low to mid 60s consistently for Thursday afternoon. So that's not too bad at all. Now, thunderstorm activity will present itself Friday night, carry us into Saturday. Should be done with that by the afternoon, up into the 60s for then Saturday and Sunday. Then we got another cold front that wants to drop in just in time for next week. And a key factor for that is hopefully we can just keep those mid 30s and not have to worry about that freezing point again. Tanya?
Up next, quarantine left one man time to build a replica Disneyland coaster in his backyard. You're gonna want to see this. And Jesse joins us.
And we're here at PSU, where we are hanging out at the Veterans Memorial. We are honoring our veterans this morning. We'll be right back on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 after this.
Thank you for risking and giving your life and making America
I keep
the
wanting to
country it
say
is
the
today.
PSU Veterans Memorial.
As COVID-19 cases continue to rise in Joplin and across Missouri, local health departments are having a hard time keeping pace with contact tracing. KOAM's Caitlin Shive spoke with the Joplin Health Department.
According to the COVID tracking project, in Missouri, there has been a 12.9% increase in COVID-19 cases over the past 7 days. In Joplin, there have been 548 cases in the last 14 days, with 293 current active cases.
We've been at high points in the past. We are currently at a new high point.
With the increase of cases in the area, Joplin health officials are having a hard time with contact tracing.
It makes it more and more challenging to get those investigated on the same day.
Joplin Health Department officials say that as cases continue to climb, they are feeling stressed when it comes to contacting everyone in a quick manner.
As far as being overwhelmed, we are a bit stressed in being able to investigate all of the cases. We do have a backlog right now of cases. We are working on a plan to alleviate that.
Tolkien says that typically when patients test positive for COVID-19, they will know of their results before it even reaches the health department, a process that slows down their efforts with contact tracing.
The way that channel works, the laboratory runs the test. They will then notify the patient at the same time, and an electronic report goes up to the state of Missouri lab, and then it pings it back down at the local health department level. We have to receive it, log it in, make the actual calls.
In Joplin, Caitlin Shive, KOAM News.
The Joplin Health Department is asking everyone who tests positive to stay home and for everyone to continue safety precautions. Well, Sean LaRoche of Napa, California, crafted a miniature version of Disneyland's iconic Matterhorn ride in his own yard. La Rochelle says one of the positives of the pandemic is all the spare time he found. Lucky guy. With the help of friends and family, he started the project back in March and finished in July and has since shared videos of the wild ride on YouTube. What an awesome backyard, giving fellow thrill seekers an inspired way to beat the doldrums.
Not to be the downer here, it'd be interesting to see what the Disney execs think about that.
That's pretty cool. That's cool.
Right, you may know.
In Kansas, he wouldn't be able to invite anybody
put yourself
to
in the
join
shoes
it
of Disney. You just went through
extra
massive
regulations.
layoffs. Did you know that?
Oh, with the Disney layoffs?
Yeah.
I was talking the same time as you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, they probably look at that and they go, oh, we can capitalize upon that as well. Well, our Almanac for our November 11th, our Veterans Day, with an average high of 61. We're actually going to get close, which I know sounds a little crazy because of how cold our Wednesday morning started out from the Freeman Health System sky camera, where we've seen a dip in temperatures, now only 30 degrees, 29 in Pittsburgh, 28 in Independence, with freeze warnings running through northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas. Now, eventually the sun's going to take effect because we don't even have any clouds to worry about. Very quiet Midwest, but impressive cold front that now stretches down to South Texas through southeastern Arkansas and makes its way through the Ohio River Valley. And all the thunderstorm activity that we had just the other day is now pushed off on the other side of the Mississippi. As far as Tropical Storm Eta, we'll take a quick run through. This is where it made land on the Florida Keys. And look, backtrack, hits Cuba again. Now it's going to pummel the west coast of Florida again. As far as what we're looking at for a secondary landfall, looks like it wants to now go up just on the other side of Orlando, head toward Jacksonville, possibly by tomorrow, but this is in stark contrast from the other future tracks that had it going this way. This thing just kind of lost all steering when it got stuck out there in the Gulf. Highs today in the high 50s. Like I said, you can probably throw some 61s up there, right on par for where we'd normally be on a Veterans Day. Overnight lows, this is comforting. Don't have to worry about hitting the freezing mark anytime soon. And so it's just getting through this morning. And then we'll also pay attention to thunderstorm activity. That'll start Friday evening and carry us on into Saturday. Saturday should be done by the afternoon. We'll have more KOAM morning news on Fox 14, but first, a Veterans Day thank you from students of Northeast Vernon County High.
I want to thank all veterans for making the place I live a better place, and I want to thank my dad for making America a better place.
This morning on the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our Insta poll, honoring those who have served our country on this Veterans Day. And just great engagement and wonderful pictures being sent in. And we'll start with Courtney Nicole Anthony. But it's a picture of Bradley Powell in the United States Marine Corps. And then we've got Rich Stretch Wegner, who sends us a picture of, that's Gary Wegner, who served from 1997 to 2004. Marsha Barnes, that's her dad, Jack Barnes, 1947. And I'll go date of birth and passing there. Thank you for that, Marsha. This is cool right here. Candy Satterfield Byram. These four boys grew up together, and now look at them. She says, Eli, Michael, Matt, and Brad. That is tremendous right there. Good-looking veterans. This is Rich Wegner with another picture of Richard Wegner from the Kansas National Guard from 81 to 87. There's Patrick Wegner of the United States Navy, so we've got quite a family lineage here. And Vicki Eldridge, our older son on the right, Private Army National Guard Engineering Battalion from 68 to 72. And once again, the Wegner family, that's tremendous right there. As a matter of fact, it's similar to the question that we have on our Insta poll this morning. How many immediate family members do you have? And ranging, this is what amazes me right here. It was two for, look at that, 5+. Quarter of you have more than 5 or more in your immediate family. And that is tremendous that you're taking time to recognize them this morning. Now, on this Veterans Day, we're going to stop in at the PSU Veterans Memorial. And that's where we find our own Jesse Irwin. Jesse?
Thanks, Michael. Yeah, this morning we were fortunate enough to be joined by Cadet Ryan Hinman, and we're here at the PSU Veterans Memorial. And you and I were just talking. You mentioned you were part of the Old Guard.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain what that means?
Well, for the Old Guard, we are stationed up in Fort Myer, Virginia, which is right next to Arlington National Cemetery. Our responsibilities were maintaining the security of Washington, D.C., as well as funeral and honorary ceremonies for the Arlington Cemetery, as also general retirement ceremonies as well.
And so you have to be a certain height, you were saying? I mean, there's very specific guidelines to qualify for this.
There
right?
is. So originally, whenever you go through just before basic training, they'll go around and have a bunch of people on a list, and they'll ask you about like the benefits of the old guard and tell you about it, and they'll ask you if you want to join, and it's your choice whether or not you want to get further information on it. So that's what happened to me, and I got approached, and that's how basically it all started for me.
Wow. And so you're a senior right now at PSU, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you're getting ready to graduate.
Yes, sir.
What comes after that?
Well, so hopefully the goal is that I'll be going into active duty as an infantry officer. Right now, as it stands, I'm about to go to advanced camp, and so what that'll do, that'll help basically detail where I'm going to go in terms of performance and whatnot from there. So it's all up in the cards at this point.
You told me you're a military brat. You grew up in a military family. Your father served. Your grandfather served. Did his father serve as well?
As far as I know, we had a long lineage of military service, but overall, the only ones that I can really think of are my grandparents and my great-grandparents really that served, and then my dad, who was the one that I really looked up to in terms of wanting to serve and continue it.
So every day is Veterans Day, it sounds like. You're in terms of just honoring, your family and those who have served. As you enter this next part of your life, what does a day like this mean to you?
It means the most. I mean, in terms of commemorating those who have served and have lived through the horrors to keep the freedom of the United States intact, as well as it also being our Armistice Day, which is the official recognition of the winning of World War I, or the ending of World War I.
Right. After an election like this, right, our country is polarized, and you get ready to go and defend everybody who's under one roof at the end of the day, right? I mean, what is that big? It must be a bigger picture for anyone who's serving, right?
Yes,
so
sir.
what do they teach you? What have you learned about sort of seeing that bigger picture of the country as one?
You're a piece of something bigger. Once at the end of the day, you have to realize that you serve the greater cause, which is the United States and the people who live in it. At the end of the day, everyone is equal, in my opinion, and everyone deserves the rights and equal privileges that the United States have granted them.
Well, we really appreciate you joining us this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
We're going to continue to learn more about not just cadets like Mr. Ryan Hinman, but also where we are. I mean, we're at PSU's Veterans Memorial, and there's a lot of cool facts and features of this place that you might not know about. So we're going to have that and more coming up, but we'll be right back on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Kind of cold right after this.
Well, COVID-19 continues to affect how we celebrate around the world, and Veterans Day is no exception. Our own Jesse Irwin is at the Pitt State Veterans Memorial this morning, where the annual Veterans Day program is preparing to kick off. Hi, Jesse.
Good morning, Tanya. Yeah, we are here at the PSU Veterans Memorial. It's a beautiful morning. It's a little chilly, but we're having fun, and we're joined this morning by Kathleen Flannery, who is with the committee that's sort of putting this whole thing together, right? I mean, this event, can you tell us, it's going to be virtual, but it's going to be special.
It's always special. Every year on Veterans Day, we commemorate and honor our veterans. This year, because of the pandemic, we've had to make our program be a virtual program. But we will have a video that's available on 4 different platforms: YouTube, Pittsburgh State, pittstate.tv, CAPS 13, as well as on Facebook Live. So that will be at 11 and 1 and 7 p.m. today. The video features 4 of our local veterans and their stories, and I think you'll find it very amazing. We always use it as a civics lesson for our 6th graders. And fortunately, they can't come to us today, but we're sending out a worksheet for their teachers for them to follow along with the video, and I think it will be a civics lesson in and of itself.
That's so special. Well, we're really looking forward to that, and I understand you're going to show us some of the different features and components of what makes this place so special. I mean, you just look at it, it is special, but there's some stuff you might not notice about it. Mm-hmm. So we're going to be hanging out with Kathleen here, and in a little bit, we're going to learn a little bit more about what brought this here and what makes it so unique to not only Southeast Kansas, but to the United States. So, Kathleen, thank you.
Thank
and we'll
you.
send it back to you, Tanya.
All right, thank you so much, Jesse. Looking forward to having you back later in the show. Well, Pitt State isn't the only place that went digital to celebrate veterans on Veterans Day this year. That's what that says. As students at Northeast Vernon County School came up with a new safe way to show their appreciation for our nation's heroes, recording digital thank yous. Students also performed research on Veterans Day, putting together a special program they've shared online. It's not their usual big ceremony, but This display is important for these patriotic kids. One of those virtual thank yous comes from 7th grader Angel Burnside. KOAM's Kate Kelly shares what Veterans Day and sacrifice means to her and why.
I want to thank all the veterans who risk their lives, not just for mine, but for the whole USA. And I want to thank my dad, Antonio Carlos Burnside.
A personal thank you from daughter to father in honor of Army Corporal Burnside, who was killed in action when insurgents attacked his unit in Afghanistan.
He died at the age of 31, had 4 kids. One of them were me.
Angel's memories of her father come from the stories her mother shares. She was just a little girl when it happened, but even then her ties to her dad went deeper than most would understand. She says she knew the moment he was gone.
Before the men can even go to my mom, I started crying, and my aunt called my mom saying, "Angel's crying, do you know why?" And I said, "My daddy died." And when they got there, my mom's like, "Oh, my little girl already told me."
It's been hard growing up without him. She leans on her siblings and her mom when it feels overwhelming.
She just says, just keep him in your heart forever.
That's just what she intends to do. She's proud of her classmates for stepping up to say thank you to the brave soldiers like her dad.
I would like to thank veterans for allowing me to live a peaceful life. I would like to thank veterans for keeping us safe.
Angel says she wants people to know that our soldiers are people just like us. They're sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers. They just happen to be heroes, too.
Veterans are very, very brave for fighting for us and for our freedom.
In Walker, Missouri, Kate Kelly, KOAM News.
Students' thank yous will play in their 8th-hour classes today and will also be airing them all morning long right here on KOAM. So glad to be able to do that. It's time now to honor today's 4-state hero. Henry Berkel, a lieutenant colonel in the United States Air Force. He served in Germany, Italy, France, and in World War II, as well as in the Korean War. Along with his military service, Berkel also helped work on NASA's Apollo program. A native of West Mineral, Kansas, we salute you, Henry Berkel, our 4th-state hero. Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. It's currently 7:32. Let's take a look at today's top stories. Kansas reports another record 7-day spike as COVID-19 cases continue to rise throughout the state. The state health department on Monday added 5,920 new confirmed and probable cases. The state averaged 2,047 new cases per day for the 7 days ending yesterday, and that brings the state's total to 103,553 since the pandemic began. Governor Laura Kelly's staff, legislative leaders, and local officials launched discussions about encouraging mask use before last week's elections. And there's still resistance to mask mandates from many local officials and the state legislature. Well, Kansas is not the only place seeing an increase in numbers as cases continue to rise all throughout the 4 states. Jasper County reports 355 active COVID-19 cases. Joplin reports 293. In Crawford County, health officials report 209 active cases, 104 in Cherokee County, and in Ottawa County, Oklahoma, there are 136 active cases. Let's check in with Michael with a look at your Veterans Day forecast.
All right, Tanya, when we look at the national perspective right there, the key factor is the cold front and exactly how it's penetrated into the 4 states. So let's transition to the Freeman Health System sky camera, where right now our temperatures are a chilly 30 degrees. And so what that's led us to are freeze warnings, especially down to the south, as we'll kind of pick on northeast Oklahoma here with Welch and Miami right at the freezing mark. Now, a lot of it's based on geography and where your National Weather Service Center is located. Remember, we've got 3 that encompass ours: Wichita, Springfield, and Tulsa. So, 29 up in Nevada, but technically not in a freeze warning. That's for northeast Oklahoma and northwest Arkansas, but don't kid yourself. It's chilly no matter where you are. Final look at the bus stop forecast. Kiddos head out. It's going to be absolutely beautiful as far as the sunshine goes. don't have any worries about that. Just a matter of staying warm as the cold front has penetrated all the way into the southeastern portion of Arkansas. Sunny and cool for the afternoon hours, barely at 50 though, and then all the way up into the high 50s. So we're going to see about a 25, 30 degree jump from where we started, and a little bit warmer tomorrow. Thunderstorm activity for Friday night into Saturday morning. Be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14, but first, a Veterans Day thank you from the students of Northeast Vernon County High.
I would like to thank veterans for keeping us safe and protected.
KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll honoring those who have served our country on this Veterans Day. Asking you if you have any family or friends that you would like to honor, and getting a slew of pictures and just wonderful thank yous throughout the course of our morning, and we appreciate your engagement. Rick Lissa Hartsfeld wants to recognize their sons, Joseph and James, in the United States Army. Debbie Wydick, that is her husband. That is Luke Wydick. Thank you very much for that, Debbie. And Philip Sabona, as a vet, thank you for your service, Philip. As a vet, I want to honor all who have paid the ultimate price and all who have served. Just to let you know, we are not suckers and losers. Far from it, Philip. Far from it. Our morning Insta poll is kind of interesting here because our results started off with, it was 2 being the dominant number here. How many military veterans do you have in your immediate family? And look at this. Isn't this astounding? That's 4-state service right there. 5+ family members at 28%. You can still vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Now it's time to check in with Jesse Irwin. Jesse's live at the PSU Veterans Memorial.
Yep, we are here, Michael. We are here at the PSU Veterans Memorial, and this morning we are joined by Kathleen Flannery, who is giving us a tour this morning. Now, people might think we're in Washington, D.C. because of how beautiful this is, and frankly, how massive this entire memorial is. But can you tell us a little bit of the background as to how Pittsburgh and Southeast Kansas was able to become the home of a place like this?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you for asking. In 2002, basically a lot of funds were raised, all private dollars, to support the vision of General James Aubuchon, one of our very own Pittsburgh State University administrators. And he had a passion. He had served in Vietnam, and he got a group of supporters together and commissioned Sam Fry, an architect from Wichita, to create this incredible memorial. So much thought went into it. It's a thoughtful design, and basically 2 crescent berms that are put together to create this amphitheater bowl. And there are portals on either side that are supposed to create the illusion that you're going from the outside world to an inner, more peaceful, serene world.
It's really spectacular when you look at all the different features of it. But like you said, a portal, right? I mean, something like that, you wouldn't think that that's going to be part of a monument, but the meaning that goes into that, right? So this as a whole, this was a community project.
It was absolutely a community project. In fact, a United States-wide project, because we have donors to this project all over the country, and people have purchased pavers from all over the country. We're one of the most unique memorials in that we honor veterans of the wars of all times and the conflicts of all times, not just focusing on the Vietnam War, but we do of course have the half-scale model of the Vietnam Wall that's located in Washington, D.C., and it has more than 58,000 names of those who perished in that conflict.
And I want to get into that a little bit here in a little bit. Because, underneath our feet right now, there's it looks like thousands of names.
There are more than 3,400, yes.
And what are these? Who are these people? And how did their names end up here?
Well, not all of them have a connection to Pittsburgh State University, but most of them are our alumni and friends of the university, of course. And loved ones have made donations in their name, and they're engraved with their names, how they served, what branch of the military that they served, and the years of service more often than not.
And your father is one of them?
He is one of them. I was very fortunate in 2004 when we commissioned, we were able to honor my dad. He served in World War II very proudly, and it was one way for me to honor him since we were in Maine growing up, and I can have a local place that I can come and and speak to him and thank him for his service as well as his colleagues.
And when you and I were on the phone yesterday, you mentioned, the reflecting pool is one of the best parts of this because it gives you that opportunity to sort of take in everything. So what does the reflecting pool mean to, especially on a day like Veterans Day?
Absolutely. The reflecting pool is one of the original designs, and there is a void that you can see in the middle of the reflecting pool, and that's to signify the hole in the fabric of society for those soldiers and service members who have not returned home, so those missing in action.
Well, we really appreciate you giving us a little bit of the background here, and this is open to the public.
It is. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and of course it's free to all.
Well, we invite people to come and check it out today. It's right here in Pittsburgh off of Rouse, and we're going to continue to talk to you about this because I want to learn more about the Vietnam Wall, because people might not know that it's very unique, not only here in Southeast Kansas, but in the United States.
It is indeed.
All right, we'll continue our conversation with Kathleen here in a little bit. You're watching KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. We'll be right back after this. We're here at the Psu Veterans Memorial this morning, and every night at a lake in Illinois, the notes of taps ring out. But Will Jones reports on how that nightly routine might be coming to an end.
I've done it every day, every sunset since Memorial Day evening.
He's played in all kinds of weather. Nothing has stopped him. Hasn't missed a night.
A moving tribute each night at Crystal Lake to honor our nation's veterans.
He was afraid the neighbors would be offended and make too much noise.
It turns out Jim Heisler's nightly gesture in his yard was just what his neighbors needed. Richard Kerman and his wife Beverly have walked over almost every single day.
I'm a veteran. Taps has always been one of my favorite things. It's something that's been very important in my life, and it makes me feel good.
It just makes the day better, and especially with COVID and the election, we always knew we'd have this moment of peace for the day.
Yeah, I've had people call me, write me notes and letters from that I don't even know.
His wife, Rebecca Heisler, is always by his side, counting down the time until sunset.
In this turbulent times that we have, it's really nice to be able to spread some positivity and some good feelings. I can't keep from being choked up because typically every night I am choked up while he's playing. It's such a small thing, but it makes such a statement.
It's not just so many notes, it has a meaning.
We will miss it. So maybe he'll do it again next year.
Well, Heisler plans to be playing taps through tonight, and his last playing of it will be sure to be emotional. If you are a MASH fan, fan of the show MASH, we have some positive news here. On MeTV tonight, a 3-hour special. We're going to be showing the finale of the hit show MASH. So if you're looking for an opportunity or a way to watch it, we'll have that on MeTV at 6 p.m. tonight. Now, we'll be back with more KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 after this. But first, let's hear from a Vernon School student.
I would like to thank the veterans for putting their life on the line for me and my family and keeping us safe. I'd also like to thank my cousin Hayden, Christy for fighting in the Marines.
Well, this morning we are here at PSU's Veterans Memorial, and we are joined by Kathleen Flannery, who is showing us around. And Kathleen, we're standing next to the Vietnam Wall. This is a replica of the one in D.C. It's still a very, very massive monument and memorial to those who served in Vietnam. Can you explain how this ended up in Southeast Kansas?
Sure. This half-scale replica of the original Vietnam Wall in Washington, D.C. was part of the 3 moving walls that John Devitt toured around the country. And he connected with some of our local area veterans and decided that this was the place that he wanted to house it full-time. And so it has been here it was not part of the original design though, but it has been here since the beginning. And it has the names of all of those who died in the conflict, and it starts here at the center in 1959. It stretches all the way over to the east, and then it reaches back around to the west and meets in the middle as well for 1975. So that's the beginning and the end of the war meet.
Wow. And so when you look at a wall like this and the fact that it's here, I mean, what has this been able to provide to not just Southeast Kansas, but to the Midwest, right? I mean, it's not easy to get to Washington, D.C.
No, it isn't. And we've had more than 50,000 visitors in the past few years here. The first year it was open, we had more than 20,000 visitors, and it continues to have about 5,000 visitors a year. It is a stopping place, one of the most visited in Southeast Kansas. But it really is an important reminder of those that we have lost to conflicts over the course of time. For the 50th anniversary in 2017, we read all of the names, more than 58,000 that are on the wall, to honor them. Mm-hmm.
What does this memorial mean to you? When you're standing in here, your father served. Mm-hmm. I mean, what is this memorial, especially being here on Veterans Day? I mean, does this day have some extra special meaning?
It does personally. As you said, my dad served, so there's a place in my heart for veterans, certainly. But I think it's important for all of us to understand the sacrifices that veterans, as well as their families, have made over time in order that we remain free and that we can take for granted every day the fact that we can live and walk and work and pray the way that we choose to.
Now, if any veterans are watching, or anybody who's interested in honoring today, there's the virtual event at 11 o'clock. Can you just give us the details of that one more time so everybody knows where to be able to watch it?
Of course. We are going to be showing a video that are highlighting our 4 local veterans, as well as some other key components of the program. That will be at 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and 7 o'clock on pittstate.tv, CAPS 13, the YouTube Pittsburgh State channel, as well as Facebook, PSU Veterans Memorial.
That's fantastic. We'll make sure we have that information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. But thank you so much for showing us around this morning. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for highlighting this very special place.
It really is a special place. We're here this morning at the PSU Veterans Memorial. We're going to toss it to break, and we'll be back to wrap up this edition of the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14 after this.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. Here's what's happening today. More than a week after Election Day, President Trump is still refusing to concede the 2020 race for the White House. The president's legal team continues to pursue claims of widespread voter fraud in courts around the country. The fate of the Affordable Care Act is once again in the hands of the Supreme Court. The court heard arguments Tuesday in the latest challenge to the landmark health care law. Based on their questions, a majority of the justices indicated that they oppose the idea of striking the ACA down in its entirety. The coronavirus continues to spread unchecked in much of the U.S. The nation set a single-day record for new infections on Tuesday, with over 135,000 confirmed cases. Over 1,400 deaths were reported, pushing the country's pandemic death toll above 239,000. Let's check in with Michael with a final look at your forecast.
It still have temperatures right at, if not below, the freezing mark, and so that's why those freeze warnings last all the way until 9. Now, eventually, it'll kick in. There's a look at the PSU Veterans Memorial where Jesse was, and the sunshine warms us up into the high 50s, low 60s. From Wednesday night into Thursday, we're able to avoid any chance of freezing, so that'll be a little bit nicer. As a matter of fact, we'll go mid-60s on Thursday, follow that up with thunderstorm activity for Friday night into Saturday. But after we clear that out Saturday afternoon, we're going back-to-back 63s over the weekend. Tanya?
All right. Well, national parks are saluting our nation's veterans and Gold Star families with free access to many of our landmarks. The Department of Interior says as of yesterday, entrance fees for national parks will be permanently waived for veterans and Gold Star families. Those are military families who've lost a loved one in service to this country. They will no longer have to pay to visit a national park. The department already waives fees for active duty military service members. That's awesome.
That's tremendous right there. And special thank you to all veterans and those who have served our country from all of us here at Fox 14. I want to thank you for letting us put the good in your morning. We will be back with more news and weather when we see you at noon.
Have a great morning and an even better day.
I would like to thank veterans for keeping us safe and dedicating their lives to ours, and for ensuring the freedoms I enjoy every day.